Welcome to Raw History. This is where we cut through romanticization and speculation to show you the unfiltered reality of human history. Picture yourself waking up in a timber and stone hut perched at 1,800 meters in the Swiss Alps. The date is January 18th, and outside your dwelling, the thermometer, if you had one, would read minus 20 degrees Celsius. Your breath creates clouds of vapor even inside the structure. There's no central heating system humming in the background, no electric blanket warming your bed, no thermostat to adjust. Yet you're alive, functional, and ready to face another day of herding livestock or tending to winter tasks. This wasn't an exceptional scenario requiring heroic endurance. This was ordinary life for Alpine communities stretching back through medieval times into prehistory. Archaeological excavations at sites like the Schnitterjoch Pass have revealed evidence of human habitation dating back 6,500 years, proving that people didn't just occasionally venture into these mountains, they lived there year-round, generation after generation. The secret to their survival against bone-chilling cold wasn't magic or superhuman tolerance for discomfort. It was actually engineering brilliance hidden in plain sight, embedded in something as mundane as where and how they slept. The foundation of Alpine winter survival rested on a counterintuitive scientific principle that these ancient people understood through observation and experimentation long before thermodynamics became a formal science. Air itself is, one of nature's finest insulators, but only when it's trapped and prevented from moving. Moving airstrips heat away from your body through convection, which is why wind chill can make a cold day dangerous. However, when air becomes motionless, what engineers call dead air, it transforms into an insulating barrier because air molecules are, terrible at conducting heat. Alpine communities exploited this principle through careful material selection. Primary sources from medieval Alpine monasteries, including the St. Gallen monastery records from the 9th century, document specific requests for hollow straw of rye for winter bedding. Rye straw was prized because its stems are naturally hollow tubes, creating thousands of tiny air pockets even within individual stalks. When bundled together, these stalks formed a matrix of trapped air spaces. Archaeological textile analysis from the Ötztal Alps, near where Ötzi the Iceman was discovered, has revealed fragments of unprocessed sheep's wool still containing lanolin, the natural grease that sheep produce. This wool wasn't clean because the lanolin made it water-resistant, while the crimped structure of wool fibers created countless microscopic air pockets. Each fiber's natural crimp meant that even when wool was compressed, it maintained spacing between fibers, preserving those crucial air chambers that provided insulation. The bedding arrangement followed a sophisticated architecture that addressed multiple thermal challenges at once. At ground level, Alpine dwellers faced the constant threat of cold radiating up from frozen earth or stone floors. The first defense was a thick foundation layer, typically 30 to 40 centimeters deep, of bundled rye or wheat straw laid directly on the floor. Evidence from excavations at the medieval village of Wüstungen in the Austrian Alps shows, interestingly enough, compressed straw layers in sleeping areas that had been maintained and refreshed over decades. This straw base, it actually served triple duty. It created physical distance from the cold floor, trapped dead air in the hollow stems and in the spaces between bundles, and provided structural cushioning that prevented the sleeper from compressing down onto the cold surface below. Above this straw foundation came layers of wool, not the processed, cleaned wool we use today, but raw fleece still containing oils and, some dirt. Documents from 13th century Alpine farming communities describe wool mats being beaten and laid thick in preparation for winter. These wool layers were typically 10 to 15 centimeters thick when compressed by body weight. The genius emerged when a person lay down on this arrangement. Body heat, which would normally radiate away and be lost, instead warmed the air trapped in the wool and straw immediately surrounding the sleeper. Because this air couldn't circulate away, it was locked in place by the fibre structure. It formed a warm microclimate. The sleeper essentially slept inside a pocket of their own warmed air. Additional coverings followed the same principle. Heavy wool blankets, often woven in a loose weave to maximize air trapping rather than create a tight fabric, covered the sleeper. Particularly wealthy households had access to fur pelts from lynx, fox, or bear, which provided the same dead air insulation with the added benefit of windbreaking exterior surfaces. Beyond warmth, this system managed moisture, a critical factor that's often overlooked. Humans release approximately half a litre of water vapour during sleep through respiration and perspiration. Wool's hygroscopic properties allow it to absorb up to 30% of its weight in moisture while still feeling dry and maintaining insulation. Excavated wool textiles from 15th century Alpine sites show wear patterns consistent with regular use in high moisture conditions, supporting written records that describe wool bedding being aired during brief sunny winter days, but, not washed until spring. This centuries-old system speaks directly to contemporary challenges. As energy costs climb across Europe and North America, and as more people pursue sustainable living or off-grid lifestyles, the Alpine bedding principle offers proven solutions. Modern outdoor enthusiasts have rediscovered these concepts. High-end camping pads use trapped air chambers, and premium sleeping bags use loft measurements to indicate how much dead air they create. Emergency preparedness experts now recommend wool blankets over synthetic alternatives precisely because of moisture management and insulation when wet properties that Alpine communities documented centuries ago. Several experimental archaeology projects have, actually reconstructed authentic Alpine bedding. In 2019, a study at the University of Innsbruck tested period-accurate straw and wool bedding in a reconstructed medieval Alpine hut during January and February. Researchers found that internal bedding temperatures stayed about 15 to 20 degrees Celsius warmer than the ambient hut temperatures throughout the night, relying solely on body heat as the warmth source. Participants reported comfortable sleep, even in conditions where external temperatures dropped to minus 18 degrees Celsius. The implications extend beyond recreation or emergency situations. Minimalist communities in North America have adapted these principles for permanent housing, using straw bale construction with wool insulation to create homes requiring minimal heating energy. This bedding arrangement represents more than clever use of available materials. It embodies a profound understanding that survival isn't about controlling nature with brute force energy expenditure. It's about understanding and working with natural principles. So these Alpine communities, they observed how air behaves, how different materials interact with moisture and heat, and, even how human physiology generates warmth. They then engineered a solution that required no fuel, no complex technology, and honestly, no resources beyond what their immediate environment provided. Every element was renewable. Straw was an agricultural byproduct, harvested every single year. Wool, on the other hand, regrew on sheep each year. The system required no mining, no industrial processing, and, well, no supply chains stretching across continents. Yet it provided reliable protection against life-threatening cold for thousands of years. As we confront, climate uncertainty and resource limitations, perhaps the most valuable lesson isn't the specific technique of layering straw and wool, it's the approach, observing natural principles, experimenting with local materials, and developing solutions that work with physical laws rather than trying to overpower them with energy consumption. The evidence is clear in archaeological remains, medieval records, and modern reconstructions. Our ancestors weren't primitive people suffering through winters. They were, in fact, sophisticated engineers who solved extreme environmental challenges with elegant simplicity. Their bedding kept them alive, healthy, and functional through thousands of Alpine winters. That's not speculation or romanticization. That's the unfiltered historical record. If this deep dive into evidence-based history has given you a new perspective on ancient ingenuity, make sure to subscribe to Raw History. Share this with anyone who thinks modern technology has all the answers. Sometimes the most brilliant solutions are the ones that have been working for centuries, just waiting for us to rediscover them.